My beloved friends, I welcome you to a moment of quiet reflection, where we shall together explore a truth that is not only powerful but divine, the law of prosperity. This law is not something to be earned by hardship or struggle, but something to be recognized and embraced. It is the unchanging, eternal principle that flows from the divine source of all good, and it is meant to guide you toward a life of abundance and peace. In the eyes of the divine, prosperity is not simply a matter of material wealth. It is the full expression of life in all its beauty, health, love, success, and fulfillment. Too often, we are led to believe that prosperity must be sought through ceaseless effort, that it is something to be grasped or fought for. But I tell you, prosperity is already yours by divine right, and it comes to you as naturally as the air you breathe. The key to receiving this abundance lies in knowing that it is already yours, waiting for your acknowledgement and acceptance. The first step in understanding the divine law of prosperity is to recognize that it operates through the eternal truth that God's will for you is good. The divine mind knows no lack, no limitation, and as children of the divine, we too are meant to express this limitless goodness. Therefore, prosperity is not something you seek out in the distant future. It is already in your life, a presence that simply requires your recognition and alignment. As you come to understand this truth, you begin to release the false beliefs that bind you to the idea that wealth is something difficult to attain, or that you must toil endlessly for it. This belief in struggle is an illusion, a false teaching that keeps you from embracing the flow of divine abundance. When you release the struggle and embrace the truth that all good is already yours, prosperity will begin to flow to you effortlessly. Affirm with me now, my dear friends, as we affirm the truth of divine abundance. I am open to receiving all the prosperity the universe has in store for me. I allow divine abundance to flow freely in my life. Remember, this prosperity is not a reward for hard labor, but a natural result of living in alignment with the divine law of abundance. It is not something to be earned through suffering, but something to be received in peace. The law of prosperity does not demand struggle. It only asks for your willingness to receive the good that is already yours. Let us now prepare to explore how to cultivate this divine alignment and make room for the fullness of prosperity in every aspect of our lives. My cherished friends, as we continue our journey into the understanding of divine prosperity, we must now turn our attention to an obstacle that often stands in the way of our blessings, an obstacle that, when removed, will allow prosperity to flow freely into our lives. This obstacle is resistance, and it takes the form of doubt and fear. These two energies, doubt and fear, are not part of your divine nature. They are mere shadows created by the mind, and they block the very flow of abundance that is your birthright. You see, prosperity is not just a matter of working hard or seeking opportunities. It is the ability to allow the good of the universe to pour into your life. But in order for this to happen, you must release all resistance, particularly the resistance born of fear and doubt. Doubt whispers in your ear saying you cannot have it, or you are not worthy of it. Fear tells you that if you allow yourself to prosper, something bad will happen, that you will be burdened with responsibility, or that you will be criticized by others. But I assure you, these are merely the false voices of the ego, and they do not speak the truth. When you fear abundance, or when you doubt your ability to receive it, you are unconsciously pushing it away. The divine law works through the principle of acceptance. To receive the blessings that are yours, you must be open and receptive, and this means releasing the thoughts and emotions that close you off to the flow of good. Doubt and fear act like a dam, blocking the natural flow of prosperity into your life. The more you entertain these feelings, the more you reinforce the belief that you are unworthy or incapable of receiving what is rightfully yours. Take a moment now to reflect upon the many blessings you have already received. Perhaps you have been blessed with good health, loving relationships, or moments of joy. These blessings, however small they may seem, are evidence that the divine has already provided for you, and it is an unceasing flow that will continue to grow as you release resistance. If you find yourself doubting or fearing, simply remember that you have been blessed before, and you are capable of receiving even more. The only thing standing between you and the fullness of prosperity is your belief in lack and limitation. Let me tell you, fear is often rooted in the unknown. We fear that if we receive too much, we may not know how to handle it, or that we may become complacent or greedy. But true prosperity does not corrupt the soul, it expands it. When you allow prosperity to flow freely into your life, you open yourself up to greater service, to greater creativity, and to a life of purpose. Prosperity is not for your selfish gain alone. It is a means to enrich the lives of others, to contribute to the world around you, and to live a life of joy and abundance. You must let go of the old belief that abundance is limited. The universe does not operate on a fixed supply of good. It is constantly creating and expanding. There is no end to the possibilities that await you. The more you embrace this truth and allow yourself to receive, the more you will see how boundless prosperity is. There is enough good for everyone, and it is always flowing, always available, waiting for those who are willing to receive it. Let us now take a moment to affirm the truth over any fear or doubt that may still linger in our hearts. Repeat with me, dear ones. I release all fear and doubt. I am open and receptive to the infinite abundance of the universe. When you release the fear of receiving, you begin to align yourself with the divine flow of prosperity. You begin to accept that you are worthy of all good things, and that the universe is not limited in its ability to bless you. You are a child of the Most High, and it is God's good pleasure to pour out His blessings upon you, to shower you with abundance. Now, my dear friends, let us understand this important truth. Prosperity is a divine right, and it is always available. But you must remove the blocks that prevent it from flowing into your life. Fear and doubt are not your true nature, and they are not the truth about you. You are a spiritual being, created in the image of the divine, and all that the divine has is yours. Prosperity, in its fullest expression, is yours to claim. Let us remember this. Fear and doubt are but shadows cast by the mind. Release them, and you will see the bright light of abundance waiting to shine upon you. As we continue on our journey, let us release the resistance that stands in the way of divine prosperity. Let us affirm our faith in the truth, and let us know that the riches of the universe are always ready to flow to those who are open to receive. My beloved friends, I now invite you to step into a deeper understanding of a most powerful tool, the tool that is within you, and that is your very own spoken word. The power of speech is not a mere expression of thought or feeling. It is the magic wand that can bring forth your desires into manifestation. It is through the words you speak that you shape your reality. For the divine law operates through the words you utter. As I have often said, your word is your wand. The words you speak are not merely sounds, they are vibrations, infused with the energy of the thoughts and beliefs behind them, and they create the world you experience. You may not always be aware of this truth, but every word you speak is a declaration, a command to the universe. The universe does not question your words, but responds to them, bringing forth that which aligns with your spoken truth. When you speak in harmony with divine law, when you speak in faith, you draw forth the good that is already yours by divine right. But when your words are filled with fear, doubt, or limitation, you unknowingly block the flow of prosperity and good that is destined for you. Consider this: every word you utter carries an invisible power, just as a seed, when planted in the soil, grows into a plant, so too does each word you speak grow into manifestation. If you speak of lack, you are planting seeds of limitation. If you speak of abundance, you are planting seeds of prosperity. What you speak today is the harvest you will reap tomorrow. In the Bible it is written, "For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned." This is a profound truth. The words you speak are not neutral. They carry the power of creation or destruction. They are the invisible forces that set the universe in motion. When you speak in alignment with divine law, you bring forth the good of God into your life. When you speak in discord, you set into motion forces that may delay or deny your blessings. Let me share with you a simple but powerful truth. When you want to manifest prosperity in your life, you must speak it into being. You must declare with confidence and faith that you are prosperous, that abundance flows to you freely, and that all your needs are met. Your words must align with the reality you wish to create. Speak your desires as if they are already realized, as if the good is already manifesting before your eyes. I know of a young woman named Miss Edith Woodson, a seamstress in a small town, who found herself struggling to make ends meet. Every morning she would speak words of limitation, saying, "I don't have enough money," or "I am always in need." And so her life reflected these words. Her income was always just enough to get by, but never enough to truly prosper. One day a wise friend came to visit her and said, "Edith, your words are your magic. Change the words you speak and you will change your life." That day Edith began to speak differently. She began to say, "I am divinely prosperous. I have all that I need and more. Abundance flows to me effortlessly." Slowly but surely, her life began to shift. Her business grew, her clients increased, and she became known for her beautiful work, attracting more prosperity than she had ever imagined. Edith's experience is a powerful reminder that the words you speak carry immense power. Your spoken word is the wand that can manifest your desires into reality. But you must speak with authority, with faith, and with an unwavering belief in the divine law that governs all prosperity. Now I invite you to affirm this truth with me. Repeat after me and feel the power of your words. It is essential, my dear friends, that you speak only that which you wish to see in your life. Your words should be in harmony with the good you wish to receive. Speak only of health, of wealth, of love, and of success. Speak of the divine abundance that is flowing to you, for when you do, you will see it manifest in your life. I cannot stress enough the importance of choosing your words carefully. Let them be filled with faith, with trust in the divine, and with a knowing that the universe is responding to every sound you utter. The more you speak in alignment with divine prosperity, the more you will see this abundance manifest in your life. Remember always this truth. Your word is your wand. Speak the good you desire into being, and it will manifest in your life. As we continue our journey together, let us speak only the words of prosperity, the words of divine truth, and the words of abundance. Your spoken word is the key to unlocking the riches of the universe, and it is within your power to create a life filled with all that is good. Let your words be the light that illuminates your path to divine prosperity. My dearest friends, we have now arrived at an essential truth, one that many of us struggle to embrace in our pursuit of prosperity, the truth of divine timing. Too often, in our desire to attain wealth, success, and all manner of good, we fall into the trap of force pushing, striving, and attempting to control every aspect of our journey. But I tell you, my beloved, true prosperity is not achieved through force. It is manifested through faith. Divine timing is an unseen force that works in perfect harmony with the law of prosperity. While our desires for wealth and success are natural and righteous, we must understand that the universe operates in its own perfect rhythm, unfolding in divine order. When we trust in divine timing, we align ourselves with the flow of life, allowing prosperity to come to us in its own time and in its perfect form. It is not for us to force the hand of God, nor to rush the natural process of manifestation. In doing so, we only create obstacles for ourselves. Let us pause and consider how nature operates. The seed that is planted in the earth does not push against the soil, nor does it demand that it grow instantly. It trusts in the divine process, allowing the warmth of the sun and the nourishment of the earth to do their work. In the same way, when we plant our desires in the fertile soil of our faith, we must trust that the universe will bring forth our harvest in divine timing. Our role is not to force the result, but to trust the process, knowing that every good thing will come to us at the perfect moment. There is a story, my dear ones, of a gentleman named Mr. Jonathan Barrett, a farmer who lived in the rolling hills of the countryside. Jonathan had always dreamed of expanding his small farm and creating a prosperous business, yet despite his tireless efforts, his dreams seemed out of reach. The more he struggled to make things happen, the more his efforts seemed thwarted. One evening, while sitting in quiet contemplation, Jonathan heard the soft whisper of an old neighbor who had watched him toil for years. "Jonathan," the neighbor said gently, "you are working hard, but you are forgetting one thing. Prosperity comes not through endless force, but through faith in the divine timing of things. You must trust that your work, when aligned with divine law, will bring the harvest in its season." That evening, Jonathan took the words of his neighbor to heart. He resolved to release his anxiety and trust that his prosperity would unfold in its own time. No longer did he rush to make things happen, nor did he force his desires to manifest prematurely. He continued to work diligently, but with a heart filled with faith, knowing that all good things were coming to him at the perfect moment. Slowly but surely his farm began to prosper. The rains came when needed, the harvests were abundant, and his business flourished in ways he had never imagined. All because he released the need to force the outcome and instead trusted in divine timing. This, my friends, is the power of faith. Faith is the assurance that all is unfolding as it should, and that all you need will be provided at the right time. It is the quiet confidence that, though the outer circumstances may appear to be slow or uncertain, your prosperity is already on its way. Faith does not demand immediate results, but trusts in the perfect unfoldment of divine law. Now I ask you to take a deep breath and affirm with me, as we release the need for force and embrace divine timing. I trust in the perfect timing of the universe. My desires are already on their way, and I am patient and confident as they unfold. This affirmation speaks to the truth that prosperity, wealth, and all good things are already yours. You need only to allow them to come to you in their own perfect time. When you trust in divine timing, you release resistance and open yourself to the flow of abundance. You no longer struggle against the natural course of events, but align yourself with the divine rhythm of life. The secret to attracting lasting prosperity is not in forcing things to happen, but in having faith that they are happening now, even if you cannot see it yet. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. When you live by this truth, you will see your desires manifest in ways that are both miraculous and effortless. Remember always this, my dear ones. The divine law of prosperity does not require your force, only your faith. Trust in divine timing, and your good will come to you effortlessly. Let us now move forward with a heart full of faith, knowing that everything we need, everything we desire, is already on its way, arriving in its perfect divine time. With each step, let us release the need to control the process, and instead trust in the flow of divine abundance. My beloved friends, as we come to the close of this sacred gathering, let us pause and reflect upon the beautiful truths we have discovered together. We have learned that prosperity is not something we chase or struggle for. It is the natural expression of divine law already flowing towards us. We have seen how doubt and fear can block the blessings that are rightfully ours, and how faith, trust, and our spoken words can open the floodgates of divine abundance. We have come to understand that the timing of prosperity is not ours to control, but to trust, knowing that all good comes to us at the perfect moment. Now, my dear ones, as we stand in the fullness of this truth, let us seal our understanding with affirmations, words that will shape our reality, words that will manifest the abundant life we so deeply desire. As I have said before, your words are your wand, and through them you have the power to create the life you wish to live. Let us speak these affirmations with great faith, knowing that as we affirm them, we are planting seeds that will grow into the abundant life we are destined to experience. First, I invite you to speak this affirmation with me. I am a divine expression of abundance. I open my heart and mind to receive all the prosperity the universe has in store for me. Feel the truth of these words settle deeply into your soul. Know that abundance is your divine right, and that the universe is always ready to bestow its blessings upon you. Your heart, your mind, and your spirit are now aligned with the flow of prosperity, and it cannot help but come to you. Next, let us affirm this truth. I trust in divine timing. Everything I desire is already on its way to me, and I receive it with joy and gratitude. Remember, dear ones, that your good is already on its way. You need only to trust and receive. The universe is always working on your behalf, bringing to you everything you need in its perfect time. When you affirm your trust in divine timing, you release the need to control, and you align yourself with the natural rhythm of life. And finally, let us affirm, my spoken word is filled with the power of creation. I speak only words of abundance, health, and success into my life. Speak these words with full confidence, knowing that the words you speak today are the seeds of your future. You are creating your reality with every word, and by speaking words of abundance, you are drawing prosperity and success into your life like a magnet. As you continue to speak these affirmations, remember that you are not simply repeating words. You are aligning yourself with the divine law, with the boundless supply of good that the universe has prepared for you. Your words are infused with the power of creation, and as you continue to speak them, you will see them manifest in your life. My dear ones, I now offer you my final blessing. May you always walk in the light of divine abundance. May you trust in the perfect timing of the universe and know that all good things are always on their way to you. May you speak only words of prosperity, health, and love, and may these words create the life you so deeply deserve. You are anointed with divine abundance. The flow of prosperity is ever present in your life, and you walk in the fullness of God's good pleasure. Go forward with this blessing, knowing that you are a radiant channel of divine prosperity, and that all the riches of the universe are yours to claim. Let your life be a testimony to the divine law of abundance, and may you inspire all around you to walk in the path of prosperity as well. With all my love and blessings, may your life be filled with endless good.
Imagine someone handed you the most powerful, most complex, most miraculous machine ever created. A machine capable of building worlds, of attracting treasure, of creating any reality it was programmed to create. And then they walked away. No instructions, no rulebook, no guide. For your entire life, you have been at the controls of this machine. You have come to believe it is broken, or perhaps that it's working against you. My dear, the machine is not broken. You were just never given the instruction manual. That changes now. We begin a chapter-by-chapter reading of Florence Scovel Shinn's The Game of Life and How to Play It, turning to the first chapter, The Game. We'll keep it simple. Each chapter heard in full. And if at any point you want a gentle step, a free, optional, one-page companion sheet waits in the description, there when you're ready. Now, the very first rule she gives us changes everything. She reveals that this machine, this life, isn't a machine at all. It is a game, and it's time we learned how to play. Most people consider life a battle, but it is not a battle. It is a game. It is a game, however, which cannot be played successfully without the knowledge of spiritual law, and the Old and the New Testaments give the rules of the game with wonderful clearness. Jesus Christ taught that it was a great game of giving and receiving. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. This means that whatever man sends out in word or deed will return to him. What he gives, he will receive. If he gives hate, he will receive hate. If he gives love, he will receive love. If he gives criticism, he will receive criticism. If he lies, he will be lied to. If he cheats, he will be cheated. We are taught also that the imaging faculty plays a leading part in the game of life. Keep thy heart or imagination with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Proverbs 4:23. This means that what man images sooner or later externalizes in his affairs. I know of a man who feared a certain disease. It was a very rare disease and difficult to get, but he pictured it continually and read about it until it manifested in his body, and he died, the victim of distorted imagination. So we see, to play successfully the game of life, we must train the imaging faculty. A person with an imaging faculty trained to image only good brings into his life every righteous desire of his heart: health, wealth, love, friends, perfect self-expression, his highest ideals. The imagination has been called the scissors of the mind, and it is ever cutting, day by day, the pictures man sees there, and sooner or later he meets his own creations in his outer world. To train the imagination successfully, man must understand the workings of his mind. The Greeks said, "Know thyself." There are three departments of the mind: the subconscious, conscious, and superconscious. The subconscious is simply power without direction. It is like steam or electricity, and it does what it is directed to do. It has no power of induction. Whatever man feels deeply or images clearly is impressed upon the subconscious mind and carried out in minutest detail. For example, a woman I know, when a child, always made believe she was a widow. She dressed up in black clothes and wore a long black veil, and people thought she was very clever and amusing. She grew up and married a man with whom she was deeply in love. In a short time he died, and she wore black and a sweeping veil for many years. The picture of herself as a widow was impressed upon the subconscious mind, and in due time worked itself out, regardless of the havoc created. The conscious mind has been called mortal or carnal mind. It is the human mind and sees life as it appears to be. It sees death, disaster, sickness, poverty, and limitation of every kind, and it impresses the subconscious. The superconscious mind is the God mind within each man and is the realm of perfect ideas. In it is the perfect pattern spoken of by Plato, the divine design. For there is a divine design for each person. There is a place that you are to fill and no one else can fill, something you are to do, which no one else can do. There is a perfect picture of this in the superconscious mind. It usually flashes across the conscious as an unattainable ideal, something too good to be true. In reality, it is man's true destiny or destination flashed to him from the infinite intelligence which is within himself. Many people, however, are in ignorance of their true destinies and are striving for things and situations which do not belong to them and would only bring failure and dissatisfaction if attained. For example, a woman came to me and asked me to speak the word that she would marry a certain man with whom she was very much in love. She called him A.B. I replied that this would be a violation of spiritual law, but that I would speak the word for the right man, the divine selection, the man who belonged to her by divine right. I added, if A.B. is the right man, you can't lose him, and if he isn't, you will receive his equivalent. She saw A.B. frequently, but no headway was made in their friendship. One evening she called and said, "Do you know, for the last week, A.B. hasn't seemed so wonderful to me." I replied, "Maybe he is not the divine selection. Another man may be the right one." Soon after that, she met another man who fell in love with her at once and who said she was his ideal. In fact, he said all the things that she had always wished A.B. would say to her. She remarked, "It was quite uncanny." She soon returned his love and lost all interest in A.B. This shows the law of substitution. A right idea was substituted for a wrong one, therefore there was no loss or sacrifice involved. Jesus Christ said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." And he said, the kingdom was within man. The kingdom is the realm of right ideas, or the divine pattern. Jesus Christ taught that man's words played a leading part in the game of life. By your words ye are justified, and by your words ye are condemned. Many people have brought disaster into their lives through idle words. For example, a woman once asked me why her life was now one of poverty and limitation. Formerly, she had a home, was surrounded by beautiful things, and had plenty of money. We found she had often tired of the management of her home and had said repeatedly, "I'm sick and tired of things. I wish I lived in a trunk." And she added, "Today I am living in that trunk." She had spoken herself into a trunk. The subconscious mind has no sense of humor, and people often joke themselves into unhappy experiences. For example, a woman who had a great deal of money joked continually about getting ready for the poorhouse. In a few years, she was almost destitute, having impressed the subconscious mind with a picture of lack and limitation. Fortunately, the law works both ways, and a situation of lack may be changed to one of plenty. For example, a woman came to me one hot summer's day for a treatment for prosperity. She was worn out, dejected, and discouraged. She said she possessed just $8 in the world. I said, "Good, we'll bless the $8 and multiply them as Jesus Christ multiplied the loaves and fishes, for he taught that every man had the power to bless and to multiply, to heal and to prosper." She said, "What shall I do next?" I replied, "Follow intuition. Have you a hunch to do anything or to go anywhere?" Intuition means intuition, or to be taught from within. It is man's unerring guide, and I will deal more fully with its laws in a following chapter. The woman replied, "I don't know. I seem to have a hunch to go home. I've just enough money for car fare." Her home was in a distant city and was one of lack and limitation, and the reasoning mind or intellect would have said, "Stay in New York and get work and make some money." I replied, "Then go home. Never violate a hunch." I spoke the following words for her. Infinite Spirit, open the way for great abundance, for she is an irresistible magnet for all that belongs to her by divine right. I told her to repeat it continually also. She left for home immediately. In calling on a woman one day, she linked up with an old friend of her family. Through this friend, she received thousands of dollars in a most miraculous way. She has said to me often, "Tell people about the woman who came to you with $8 and a hunch." There is always plenty on man's pathway, but it can only be brought into manifestation through desire, faith, or the spoken word. Jesus Christ brought out clearly that man must make the first move. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Matthew 7:7. In the scriptures we read, "Concerning the works of my hands, command ye me." Infinite intelligence God is ever ready to carry out man's smallest or greatest demands. Every desire, uttered or unexpressed, is a demand. We are often startled by having a wish suddenly fulfilled. For example, one Easter, having seen many beautiful rose trees in the florist's windows, I wished I would receive one, and for an instant saw it mentally being carried in the door. Easter came, and with it a beautiful rose tree. I thanked my friend the following day and told her it was just what I had wanted. She replied, "I didn't send you a rose tree, I sent you lilies." The man had mixed the order and sent me a rose tree simply because I had started the law in action and I had to have a rose tree. Nothing stands between man and his highest ideals and every desire of his heart, but doubt and fear. When man can wish without worrying, every desire will be instantly fulfilled. I will explain more fully in a following chapter the scientific reason for this and how fear must be erased from the consciousness. It is man's only enemy. Fear of lack, fear of failure, fear of sickness, fear of loss, and a feeling of insecurity on some plane. Jesus Christ said, "Why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith?" Matthew 8:26. So we can see we must substitute faith for fear is only inverted faith, it is faith in evil instead of good. The object of the game of life is to see clearly one's good and to obliterate all mental pictures of evil. This must be done by impressing the subconscious mind with a realization of good. A very brilliant man who has attained great success told me he had suddenly erased all fear from his consciousness by reading a sign which hung in a room. He saw printed, in large letters, this statement: "Why worry? It will probably never happen." These words were stamped indelibly upon his subconscious mind, and he has now a firm conviction that only good can come into his life. Therefore, only good can manifest. In the following chapter, I will deal with the different methods of impressing the subconscious mind. It is man's faithful servant, but one must be careful to give it the right orders. Man has ever a silent listener at his side, his subconscious mind. Every thought, every word is impressed upon it and carried out in amazing detail. It is like a singer making a record on the sensitive disc of the phonographic plate. Every note and tone of the singer's voice is registered. If he coughs or hesitates, it is registered also. So let us break all the old bad records in the subconscious mind, the records of our lives which we do not wish to keep, and make new and beautiful ones. Speak these words aloud with power and conviction. I now smash and demolish, by my spoken word, every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They shall return to the dust heap of their native nothingness, for they came from my own vain imaginings. I now make my perfect records through the Christ within, the records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. This is the square of life, the game completed. In the following chapters, I will show how man can change his conditions by changing his words. Any man who does not know the power of the word is behind the times. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Proverbs 18:21. That is chapter 1. The first great principle of the manual has now been revealed. Simply allowing these words to wash over you is a powerful act of creation. The seed of this truth has been planted in your soul. Let the words rest. When you want to embody them, one simple practice awaits below. Whether you simply listen or actively practice, remember the truth you received today. Life is not a battle, it is a game, and you are learning how to play beautifully.
The universe does not respond to need. It responds to frequency. It listens not to the words alone, but to the energy beneath them. Desperation is a current of fear, and fear blocks the flow of abundance. When you beg, plead, or strive with a clenched heart, you are unknowingly pushing away the very thing you seek. Not because you are unworthy, but because the vibration of need speaks lack into the fabric of reality. The law is simple. What you feel, you feed. What you vibrate, you invite. You may say, I want more money. But if your energy is filled with worry, you are declaring lack, not wealth. You may say, I want love. But if your heart is coated in loneliness, the universe hears the echo of separation. It is not your wish that manifests, it is your dominant vibration. And this is why stillness is more powerful than striving, why faith carries further than force. You must learn to pray not with anxious energy, but with a calm expectancy that all is well, that all is already in motion. This is the sacred posture of spiritual magnetism, not effort, but alignment. The flower does not scream to the sun to be noticed. It opens silently, and the sun finds it. In the same way, you must become an open space, not a frantic seeker. The universe is not testing you, it is mirroring you. It is reflecting the song your soul is singing every day. And if that song is one of trust, peace, and gratitude, then life will begin to harmonize with your inner music. There is no power in begging the universe to give
what you do not yet believe you deserve, but there is great power in embodying the state of already having received. This is the true work of manifestation, not forcing outcomes, but elevating your frequency until what you desire cannot help but come to you. You become the living invitation, you become the match to the miracle, you speak it once with conviction, and then you rest in the knowing. To raise your vibration is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about surrendering the illusion of control and stepping into divine cooperation. It is about choosing trust over panic, gratitude over lack, presence over projection. The more relaxed your soul, the more open your channel. The more open your channel, the more quickly spirit can flow. When you release the grip of needing, you awaken the flow of receiving. Because energy is a faithful servant, it will always bring more of what you are. Every word you speak with faith plants a seed in the invisible soil of divine substance. The words may seem small, the moment may seem still, but beneath the surface, the laws of the universe are already stirring, already responding, already forming the unseen into the seen. When you boldly affirm, "I am wealthy, I am healed, I am loved," you are not describing what your eyes see, you are shaping what your eyes will see. The spiritual realm responds not to what is, but to what is spoken in alignment with truth. Faith is the voice that calls things that are not as though they were, and in that calling, the form begins to appear. It is not about pretending or performing. It is about claiming what is already yours in spirit and allowing that claim to rise into matter. You are not lying to yourself. You are speaking the higher truth, the truth beyond conditions, beyond facts, beyond evidence. Because spiritual law does not operate by what has happened, it moves by what is declared. And when that declaration is made from a heart that believes, from a soul that trusts, it becomes a living force, a magnetic signal sent out into the field, drawing to it all things necessary for fulfillment. So you do not wait for circumstances to shift before you speak differently. You speak differently, and the circumstances will shift. You do not wait for the door to open before you give thanks. You give thanks, and the door opens. You do not wait for the money to appear before you affirm prosperity. You affirm it now with power, with peace, with joyful certainty. Because the moment you align your word with the truth of divine supply, the currents begin to flow. You may not see it immediately, but know this: the energy has moved, the call has been heard, and the universe is already at work, bringing it into form. You must not underestimate the power of your affirmations. They are not empty phrases. They are sacred instruments. They are spiritual instructions. They are the language of creation. What you say in faith becomes a mold, and the formless substance of the universe rushes to fill it. If you say, "Nothing ever works out for me," that mold is honored. If you say, "Everything is always working in my favor," that mold is honored too. The choice is always yours. Speak life and life will come. Speak lack and lack will follow. But speak boldly what you desire, and do so with the unwavering conviction of one who knows that their word is backed by the whole power of the infinite. Let your affirmations be clear. Let them be rooted in joy. Let them rise not from fear, but from truth. Say them as if the heavens have already agreed, because they have. You are not trying to become what you speak. You are remembering that you already are. Doubt is not harmless. It is a spiritual disruptor. It interrupts the flow of divine energy like static in a signal, scattering the vibration of your intention. Every time you ask for a thing and then second, guess whether it will come. You plant and uproot your own seed. You speak, then cancel. You believe, then fear. You set your desire into motion, and then, with the energy of uncertainty, you halt its arrival. Faith does not beg for signs. Faith is the sign. It is the evidence of things not seen, the inner knowing that says, even if I do not yet see it, it is already mine. The unseen realm moves in response to that kind of inner certainty. It does not respond to confusion, for confusion carries no clarity of vibration. It responds to alignment, the alignment of your heart, your word, and your emotion with the outcome you have already accepted. You must stop checking the soil for the sprout every hour. A farmer does not plant the seed and return in worry. He plants and trusts. He waters with expectation, not with doubt. In the same way, your spiritual requests must be sealed with unwavering trust. You speak the word, and then you rest. You do not need to repeat it in fear. You need to trust that what was set into motion cannot return void. There is a sacred force that honors your bold faith, not loud faith, not desperate faith. Quiet, calm, confident faith, the kind that speaks once and then acts as though the answer is already in the room. The kind that doesn't keep asking when, but instead prepares as if the manifestation is on its way. Because that kind of preparation is itself a declaration. When you doubt, you delay. When you believe, you build. And in the realm of spirit, belief is the blueprint. It is easy to have faith when the evidence is visible. But manifestation begins before the proof arrives. The work of creation is done in the invisible first. The moment you speak your desire in truth and align with it emotionally, you begin to mold the field around you. You may not hear the changes, you may not see them yet, but they are happening. The universe is never still in response to faith. It is moving, arranging, shifting, guiding, flowing, aligning. But if you allow fear to sit in your heart, if you begin to imagine loss or entertain the thought that perhaps you are not worthy, you withdraw from the current. You stand outside the stream. To walk in manifestation, you must stand inside your desire with full spiritual confidence. You must hold the vision when there is no proof, carry the feeling when there is no form, speak the promise when there is no sign. That is the sacred discipline. That is the secret. Not to demand, not to chase, not to strive, but to trust so completely that the universe has no option but to fulfill the word that your faith has spoken. There is a kind of prayer that does not ask, it declares. It does not plead for change, it announces it. This is the secret prayer, the one often misunderstood, because it does not come from the energy of waiting. It comes from the energy of arrival. When you speak this way, you are not trying to convince the universe to bless you. You are stepping into alignment with the truth that the blessing already exists. It's not a wish, it's a spiritual statement of completion. This kind of prayer does not reach out into the future, it draws the future into now. The mind wants to delay. It says, maybe one day, but the spirit knows only now. Divine timing does not mean someday. It means everything arrives at the perfect moment of alignment. So, when you speak the secret prayer, you do not speak from a sense of lack or distance. You speak as though it is done. You say, I am healed, even if the body has yet to respond. You say, I am prosperous, even if your hands have not yet touched the wealth. You say, I am loved, even if no one has yet appeared to prove it. This is not denial of reality. It is spiritual dominance over it. In this sacred approach, you stop chasing answers and start becoming the answer. You stop asking for light and start declaring, I am the light. You stop waiting for the door to open and begin affirming, every door I need is already open before me. And it is in that moment of holy confidence that the universe begins to fold around your word. The circumstances begin to echo your belief. The mirror begins to change, not because the world suddenly shifted, but because your inner declaration became the new command. There is no uncertainty in this kind of prayer. It is not weak or tentative. It does not end in question marks. It speaks in certainty. And the more you live in that vibration, the more the physical begins to reflect the spiritual, because the universe is not confused by appearances. It responds to the tone behind them. If your tone is fear, you attract delay. If your tone is faith, you attract acceleration. What many call waiting on God is often just waiting on their own alignment. For God, source, divine intelligence, it has already said yes. It is already flowing. The stream has not stopped. Only the receiver has stepped out of it. So you do not return to the prayer to repeat the request. You return to remind yourself of the truth, that it is done, that the blessing is not on the way. It is already here in seed form. And every time you affirm it, every time you speak it with love and certainty, you water that seed with spiritual confidence. And like all things rooted in truth, it must eventually bloom. When you truly understand your place in the divine order, you stop asking and begin commanding not from ego, but from sacred alignment. You are not a servant begging for favor from the universe. You are a co-creator operating within its laws. You were never meant to grovel before the unseen forces. You were designed to speak with clarity, to align with truth, and to declare that truth boldly. This is not arrogance. It is spiritual inheritance. The power that formed the worlds was breathed into you. It responds not to desperation, but to authority born of love and certainty. To command in harmony with divine law is to speak what the divine would speak through you. It means you do not ask for things that already exist in the storehouse of spirit. You declare them as released, as received, as real in the now. You are not trying to get the universe to respond. You are responding to the truth that the universe is already in motion. The storehouses are full, the paths are cleared, but they open not by need, they open by resonance. When you say, I choose peace, you are not wishing for peace to fall upon you. You are aligning with the law of peace that already exists. And in that alignment, the vibration within you shifts, and the world outside you follows. You must remember, the universe is obedient to spiritual law, not emotional chaos. When you are ruled by fear, your command becomes foggy. When you speak from doubt, your frequency collapses. But when you speak from your divine center, from that place where your soul and source are one, your words are creative forces. They carry weight. They ripple through the field of infinite substance and draw the formless into form. It's not about using the right words. It's about embodying the truth behind them. You are not calling down a blessing from somewhere far above. You are awakening what has already been placed within you. And when you speak in alignment with that knowing, the universe must respond, not because you are forcing it, but because you are finally tuned to the same frequency. This is how miracles unfold, not by pushing, but by resonance. You become the space in which the desired reality can land. You become the one who no longer asks, will it happen, but instead says, of course it is already done. The shift is internal first. You release the role of the seeker and step into the identity of the speaker, the one who knows that their voice carries the signature of the divine. You are not requesting permission to receive. You are honoring the law that says all is already given. And so, your prayer becomes less of a plea and more of a declaration, not because you are above humility, but because you understand spiritual order. What you speak from this place is not noise. It is the echo of the divine intention moving through your breath. And where there is divine intention, there must be divine fulfillment. Everything in this universe moves by energy. Not by effort, not by chance, but by alignment. Intention is the spark, but feeling is the flame. Thought may initiate the current, but emotion is what carries it to the shores of form. This is why it is not enough to merely say the words. You must become the feeling behind them. To feel as if it is already done is the true key. That is the language the universe responds to. That is the signature of belief. That is the signal that says, I am ready to receive. When you live in the vibration of having, even before your hands touch the thing, you become the magnet. It is not imagination. It is transmission. Your feeling becomes a broadcast, and everything that matches it begins to find you. You are not reaching out to grab what you desire, you are drawing it in by the energy you carry. The moment you embody it, it begins to find its way to you. Not because you are forcing its arrival, but because you are no longer repelling it with disbelief. This is why longing keeps things away. Longing says, I don't have it yet. It sings the song of separation. But gratitude, joy, and the quiet confidence of already being, it draws reality closer. When you sit in the energy of what is already yours in spirit, you begin to collapse time. You make space. You become the receiver. There is no need to chase what is already on its way. You simply become the place where it feels welcome to land. You do this not through struggle, but through stillness, not through trying, but through trust. You breathe it in. You allow the sensation of already having it to wash over you. You walk, talk, think, and move as one who knows it is done. And that knowing becomes a signal to the universe, clear, unwavering, magnetic. This is not pretending. This is aligning. This is no longer trying to become what you seek, but becoming the frequency of it now. Let every word you speak, every thought you choose, every breath you take carry the essence of fulfillment. Let the way you sit, the way you pray, the way you move through the world reflect the peace of completion. You don't have to see it yet to feel it now. And when you feel it now, you activate the law that brings it forward. It begins as a shift within a gentle rising of vibration, a quiet knowing in the bones, and then life begins to mirror that shift. The people, the doors, the timing all begin to align with what you have already claimed in your soul. This is the hidden path, not to push the world into shape, but to shape your energy so the world reflects it, not to chase what you want, but to prepare your inner state to match what is meant for you. When you feel it as real within, you draw it nearer without resistance, without delay, with the effortless grace of spiritual law unfolding. Gratitude is not just a polite gesture. It is a spiritual technology. It is the sacred frequency that tells the universe, I have received, even before the gift appears in form. When you give thanks ahead of time, you activate a divine signal that accelerates manifestation. You shift from waiting to welcoming. You stop observing lack and start broadcasting fulfillment. Gratitude is the emotional evidence of belief, and belief is what gives birth to the visible. So many are stuck in the energy of not yet. They wait for the blessing before they bless. They wait for the miracle before they rejoice. But the spiritual masters, the ones who understand divine law, they begin with thanksgiving. They wake up and give thanks not because everything has arrived, but because they know everything is on its way. They walk through empty fields and say, the harvest is already mine. They stand before closed doors and say, thank you,
because the right one is opening, and the universe listens. Because gratitude is not noise, it is alignment. When you express thanks for what you have not yet seen, you collapse the distance between desire and manifestation. You make yourself available to the flow of abundance. You shift the lens of your perception from fear to fulfillment. And in that shift, life begins to arrange itself in your favor. Opportunities emerge, answers appear. Synchronicities unfold, not by chance, but by spiritual resonance. Gratitude rewrites the energy of your day. It lifts your vibration without effort. It silences worry and brings you into the presence of now. And it is in the now that power resides. When you are grateful, you are not waiting, you are receiving. You are not hoping, you are allowing. And that allowing is the soft space where miracles bloom. To live in gratitude is to live in overflow. It is to carry the feeling of enough, even when the bank account hasn't caught up. It is to bless the silence before the music starts. It is to say thank you before the outcome is visible, because you trust in the unseen hand that moves all things. Gratitude is not a response. It is a cause. It is not just the fruit. It is the seed. This is why the words you speak must carry appreciation. Not obligation, not performance, but true, sincere thankfulness. For what you appreciate appreciates. What you acknowledge expands. The more you focus on what is good, even in seed form, the faster it multiplies. And it doesn't take hours of chanting or pages of affirmations. One quiet, heartfelt thank you, spoken with full belief, is enough to unlock what striving never could. Gratitude is your agreement with abundance. It is the proof that you trust the process. It is the evidence that you believe the invisible is just as real as what you can touch. And it is in this energy, pure, elevated, trusting, that manifestation becomes not a question, but a certainty. Because where there is sincere gratitude, there is no room for doubt. And where there is no doubt, the universe moves without resistance. When you are in alignment with divine will, you are no longer striving to make things happen. You are allowing what is already meant for you to unfold. You step out of the exhausting cycle of force and into the quiet rhythm of trust. There is no pressure, no panic, only the gentle assurance that everything that belongs to you is already finding its way. You no longer question the timing. You no longer measure your worth by how fast the manifestation arrives. Because something deep within you begins to understand. The plan is perfect and you are inside it. There is a current to divine flow, and when you surrender to it, life becomes graceful, not because every moment is easy, but because every moment is held. There is a deep intelligence guiding each detail, and it never wastes time, never forgets, never misses a step. What appears as delay is often divine preparation. What looks like rejection is often redirection. What feels like silence is often sacred rearrangement. And when you trust this, truly trust it, peace becomes your natural state. You stop needing to control every outcome because you begin to see that something greater is already in control. The heart that is aligned with divine will does not need to manipulate circumstances it speaks. It believes, and then it rests. Not in passivity, but in powerful stillness. It listens, it observes, and it follows the subtle guidance that rises from within. You begin to recognize the whispers, the nudges, the sacred pauses, and you honor them because you know they are not random. You stop rushing, you stop pushing, you start flowing, and in that flow, everything accelerates not by human effort, but by spiritual grace. When you walk in harmony with this higher order, life becomes responsive in miraculous ways. The right people appear. The perfect doors open. The clarity comes not because you chased it down, but because you were in tune, because you trusted enough to be still, because you believed enough to let go, because you aligned not just your words, but your energy with the deeper knowing that you are already provided for. It becomes less about manifesting specific things and more about living from a place where what you need simply finds you. You don't force abundance. It flows to you because your spirit is uncluttered. You don't chase love. It arrives because your heart is receptive. You don't fear the future. It unfolds with divine rhythm because you no longer resist what's unfolding. Everything begins to arrive not through demand, but through surrender, not through control, but through deep spiritual agreement. You are no longer fighting for the life you desire. You are becoming the version of you who already lives it. And in that becoming, all things are added unto you. And now, beloved soul, breathe in this truth. You were never without the power. You were never waiting for permission. You were never abandoned by the source that lives within you. The universe has always been listening, not to your desperation, but to your vibration. And now you remember. You remember that your word is divine law in motion, that your prayer is not a cry in the dark, but a command spoken in the light, that your gratitude is the gateway, your alignment is the signal, your faith is the force. You remember that you do not beg for miracles, you welcome them. You do not chase what is yours. You receive it with a still and sacred heart. So walk gently now, knowing that all things are working together in perfect timing. Let your thoughts be soft but certain. Let your words be few but full of fire. Let your energy rise to meet what's already yours in the unseen. And above all, let your life become the living prayer, a quiet, constant unfolding of divine will made manifest. It is done in spirit, and so it begins in form.
Every word is a note. Every thought is a chord. Every belief is a symphony that plays itself into your life. The world is not governed by accident, nor is harmony scattered like chants upon the wind. The law is exact, and what you set within, you hear without. What you call music is not only strings, drums, or voices. It is vibration, the unseen orchestra behind form. Life is a grand performance, and every soul directs its own score. When you listen with the outer ear, you hear melodies that rise and fall. But when you listen with the inner ear, you find that the real music is thought, imagination, and decree. One dissonant thought can cloud a day. One radiant thought can shift the entire atmosphere of a home. So the wise learn to replace music with this, the conscious harmony of spoken word, the deliberate rhythm of right ideas, the lyric of faith made audible. If the body is weary, it is because the song it follows is discordant. If the path seems blocked, it is because the notes being played are sharp with fear or flat with doubt. Yet the score can be changed at once. A new tune begins the instant a new word is spoken in truth. The moment you declare, "I am in perfect harmony. Divine order sings through me." The hidden orchestra of life strikes a fresh key, and conditions rearrange themselves to match your new refrain. What many call struggle is only a mistaken composition, a piece written in minor keys of resentment, worry, or self-condemnation. But no soul is bound to such music. Each can step out of the shadow of its own refrain and declare a higher sound. Every word spoken in faith is a symbol of victory. Every affirmation of good is a drumbeat that drives away despair. Thought is tone. Speech is song. Action is dance. You need not wait for outer instruments to soothe or stir you. You need not beg for songs from the world. The living word is the eternal instrument, tuned to the divine. Within you, the sacred voice speaks, and when spoken with certainty, it commands every outer condition to move in rhythm with heaven's order. Replace the fragile music of chance with the sure harmony of spiritual law. Replace the fleeting songs of circumstance with the everlasting psalm of truth. All around you is an unseen orchestra, waiting for your signal. Every circumstance is a note that obeys the conductor's baton. The conductor is your consciousness, and the baton is your spoken decree. Declare beauty, and beauty marches in. Declare abundance, and abundance strikes the chords of opportunity. Declare health, and the cells of the body sing in unison. This is the real music, the eternal vibration that bends the seen world into form. Every word is a note. Every thought a sound that reverberates through the unseen ethers. And every belief a whole composition that plays itself out upon the stage of daily life. The world is not a chaos of accidents, but a great orchestra of vibrations, responding without error to the tone of consciousness. A man does not simply speak words, he strikes chords. He does not merely imagine, he lays down melodies. He does not hold a belief idly. He sets the rhythm that determines what shall march into form. Every word, thought, and belief creates the music of life, and there is no escape from the law of this harmony, for even silence is a song. Silence, too, vibrates with faith or fear, and what one holds in secret resounds just as loudly in the world as what one proclaims aloud. When a man utters a careless word, he does not realize he has thrown a note into the cosmic orchestra, and that note must find its echo somewhere. Words of discouragement are minor keys. Words of hope are bright chords that lift the atmosphere. Thoughts of failure are tones that jar against the higher harmony. Thoughts of victory rise as trumpets, clear and bold, calling success into manifestation. Beliefs are the entire compositions, written not in ink but in consciousness, and they play themselves endlessly until rewritten by deliberate decree. Thus, every human being is a composer of his own destiny, and the instruments of that destiny are not strings or horns, but the very faculties of mind and speech. When one says, "I can't," the orchestra of life plays a song of resistance and closed doors. When one says, "I can," the trumpets sound and pathways open. When one holds a thought of poverty, the music becomes heavy and dragging, and opportunities seem to dissolve in the mist. When one holds a thought of plenty, the rhythm quickens, the dance begins, and doors swing wide. Beliefs of limitation are low, repeating bass notes that weigh upon the soul. Beliefs of freedom are high, soaring themes that carry the individual into new fields of expression. Nothing in life is silent, for every consciousness is a living score, and the outer world is but the echo. The child who grows up hearing constant words of fear absorbs those tones until his own life hums with the same refrain. The child who grows up surrounded by words of love and assurance carries that harmony into every field of endeavor. Yet no man is bound forever to the song he first heard. He may rewrite the composition of his life at any moment by choosing new words, new thoughts, new beliefs. The past is but an echo that fades when a new note is struck, and no discord is so strong that it cannot be dissolved by the clear tone of truth. One must become as careful with words as a musician is with notes. A careless musician jars the ear, a careless speaker jars the whole harmony of his affairs. To say, "I am weak," is to strike a dissonant note that vibrates through the body. To say, "I am strong," is to lift the body into rhythm with health. To say, "I never have enough," is to compose a dirge that plays again and again in circumstances. To say, "I have abundance," is to open the symphony of supply. Every word sets the key, and the conditions of life cannot help but follow the melody that has been chosen. Thoughts, too, are unceasing musicians. They play while one is awake, and they play while one is asleep. If the thoughts are anxious, the music is restless, full of unfinished phrases and jarring sounds. If the thoughts are peaceful, the whole being moves in quiet harmony, and outer events fall into place with ease. What one rehearses inwardly will one day be performed outwardly upon the stage of life. A thought indulged again and again becomes a repeating theme, and soon the whole score is colored by it. That is why a man who entertains fear sees fear in every shadow, while a man who entertains faith finds evidence of good, even in apparent delay. Belief is the strongest music of all, for it sets not only the notes but the tempo. A belief is a decree written deeply, and it gathers all other thoughts and words into its orbit. If one believes that success is natural, then even small efforts turn into great results, for the underlying score is triumphant. If one believes that life is against him, then every effort falters, for the underlying score is defeat. Belief colors perception, directs energy, and summons conditions in harmony with its tone. To change belief is to change the entire symphony. Consider how two men may face the same circumstance, yet one hears discord while the other hears opportunity. It is not the circumstance but the inner music that determines the outcome. One man may see a closed door and believe it is the end of his chances, and his life grows heavy with the slow march of resignation. Another may see the same door and declare, "There must be another way." And his faith writes a new theme, bright and urgent, that leads him to unexpected openings. The circumstance is only an echo, the real sound is within. Every spoken blessing plants a pure note in the great score. Every thought of gratitude enriches the harmony. Every belief in goodness and order raises the key. Life itself cannot resist the command of consistent vibration, for law responds without question. The universe does not ask whether the word spoken was meant or not. It takes it as music, and it plays. That is why one must guard words as treasures, shape thoughts as carefully as sculpture, and select beliefs as a conductor selects the themes of his greatest work. Even the simplest affirmation, when spoken with faith, strikes a clear tone that resounds far beyond the moment. "I am safe" becomes a shield. "I am provided for" becomes an open gate. "I am guided" becomes a steady compass. These are not idle phrases but notes of power, and when repeated, they become themes strong enough to turn the entire orchestra of life into a song of victory. Inner harmony is not something that drifts into a person's life by accident. It is the deliberate arrangement of speech, thought, and idea. Every uttered word is like a brushstroke across the canvas of experience, every conscious phrase a stroke that colors the unseen atmosphere. There are those who go through life believing that words are mere sounds, that speech vanishes the moment it is spoken. Yet in truth, the word is alive, clothed with energy, and it lingers long after it leaves the lips, building structures in the invisible, shaping conditions, and calling forth outcomes. To speak without awareness is to scatter notes into the great field of vibration without considering the song they create. To speak with awareness is to conduct the inner orchestra and bring life into perfect rhythm. Harmony begins within, in the quiet chamber of thought, but it finds its power when spoken aloud. A single phrase, spoken with conviction, can rearrange the entire tone of a moment. When the atmosphere is heavy with worry, one clear declaration of peace can cut through it like light through shadow. When the body feels weak, a word of strength becomes a key that unlocks new vitality. The conscious use of speech is not about empty repetition, but about aligning words with truth, declaring what is already real in the unseen, and allowing it to become visible in the seen. Each word is a tuning fork, vibrating through every cell, through every circumstance, until the outer life matches the inner decree. Ideas themselves are music. They do not appear as sound to the outer ear, but they hum and pulse within the mind until they express themselves. A man who entertains the idea of fear is setting up a rhythm that disturbs his entire system. His heart beats irregularly, his nerves grow tense, and his path grows uncertain, for the idea he holds is one of disorder. Another man entertains the idea of faith, and his whole being settles into harmony. His breath is calm, his movements assured, his path clear, for the idea he holds is one of balance. Consciousness is the tuning chamber of life, and ideas are the tones that determine whether one walks in harmony or in discord. To live in inner harmony, one must learn the art of choosing words as a gardener chooses seeds. The careless scatter weeds, and then wonder why the field is tangled and unfruitful. The wise select words of power, plant them with faith, water them with repetition, and watch them grow into strong trees of experience. A word spoken in fear is a seed that yields thorns. A word spoken in love is a seed that yields fruit. A word spoken in anger multiplies unrest. A word spoken in peace builds a fortress of calm. This law is exact, and it cannot be broken, for vibration follows the word as shadow follows form. Inner harmony begins not by silencing the world outside, but by governing the world within. When one aligns thought with truth, speech follows in rhythm, and life takes on a melody of order. If a person says, "Everything works against me," the world rushes to confirm it, because the vibration set forth is resistance. If a person says, "Everything flows for my good," then life begins to rearrange itself to agree with that command. The spoken word, repeated and believed, is the signal to which the invisible responds. Words are not isolated. They draw companions, they gather experiences. They magnetize situations until the outer matches the inner harmony. It is not enough to merely stop speaking negatively, for silence alone is not harmony. Silence must be filled with right speech, just as a void must be filled with light. To say nothing is to leave the music unfinished, but to speak words of life is to complete the chord. One cannot cancel a false note without striking the true one. The inner musician must be awake, ready to replace the discordant refrain with a melody that uplifts. Speech must be conscious, deliberate, and aligned with the highest truth one can hold. In this way, the word ceases to be casual and becomes sacred, a tool of transformation. The body responds immediately to the conscious use of words. A man who tells himself daily that he is weary soon finds that weariness is written into his flesh. Another who affirms that he is strong and vital begins to feel life rushing through his veins. The cells themselves answer to the decree. Nerves are calmed by words of peace. Organs are quickened by words of health. Muscles are strengthened by words of power. This is not imagination alone but vibration taking form, for the body is but the outer instrument that echoes the inner sound. Circumstances, too, fall in line with spoken words. A person who continually complains of lack is unconsciously summoning experiences to match that vibration. He says, "I never have enough," and life replies, "As you say." Another declares, "I have abundance," and doors open, resources flow. Opportunities appear, for the outer must mirror the inner decree. Conscious speech is not wishful thinking, but the steady striking of the right note, until all else must tune itself accordingly. Just as an orchestra tunes to the clear tone of the violin, so the universe tunes to the clear tone of a spoken truth. The practice of conscious speech and right ideas is not occasional but continual. One cannot declare harmony once and expect it to hold forever, just as a musician cannot play a note once and expect it to sustain endlessly. The word must be repeated, the idea reinforced, the decree renewed. Every day is a new composition, every moment an opportunity to strike a new chord. By filling the atmosphere with right words, by filling the mind with right ideas, one keeps the music of life steady, bright, and true. The measure of a person's harmony can be found in his words. Listen to his speech and you will know his inner state. Harsh words reveal inner discord, while gentle words reveal balance. Complaining words reveal a belief in lack, while grateful words reveal a belief in abundance. To change speech is to change life. For the word is the messenger of the thought, and the thought is the messenger of the belief. In this chain lies the whole secret govern belief. Refine thought, choose words consciously, and the outer life cannot help but fall into harmony. Discord in life is never a punishment or an accident. It is only a mistaken composition, a song played in the wrong key, a melody written with notes of fear, worry, or resentment. Every difficulty is a vibration that has gone out of tune with truth, every struggle a phrase written in the language of doubt. Just as an orchestra can falter when one instrument is not in harmony, so the whole of a person's experience can seem discordant when the inner music is not aligned with divine order. Yet the beauty of the law is that no discord is final, for every melody can be corrected, every refrain rewritten, every false note dissolved by the sound of truth. Life does not demand perfection without providing the power to recompose. It only mirrors back the music that has been set in motion by the consciousness behind it. A mistaken composition begins in the unseen. A thought of fear is a wrong note struck silently, and it lingers until it draws other notes into its orbit. Soon, that fear becomes a belief, and the belief shapes words, and the words summon experiences that echo back the fear. The man then wonders why the world resists him, not knowing that it is only repeating the song he himself began. Another man may carry a thought of resentment, and it colors all his dealings with others. He may speak politely, but the underlying tone is sharp, and life echoes it back with sharp encounters. Discord is never imposed from outside, it is composed from within, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Correcting discord does not require struggle, only recognition and redirection. A musician who hears a false note does not destroy the instrument, he simply adjusts the string, presses the right key, and plays again. So too must the individual recognize the false notes of complaint, worry, or limitation, and replace them with the true tones of faith, peace, and abundance. When the inner score is rewritten, the outer world cannot resist following suit. It is impossible for a man to declare harmony within himself without seeing harmony reflected around him, for the law is exact, and vibration calls to vibration. Many imagine that they are trapped in long-standing discord, bound by mistakes of the past. Yet the past is but an echo that can be silenced the moment a new melody is struck. A man who has lived years in fear can, with one firm declaration of courage, begin the composition of a new life. A woman who has rehearsed poverty in thought and word can, by affirming abundance with conviction, set into motion a new symphony of provision. It matters not how long the wrong song has been played. The instant the right note is struck, the whole atmosphere shifts, and new conditions gather in obedience to it. Discord is also born of divided thinking, of trying to play two songs at once. A man may say, "I believe in success," while secretly holding the refrain, "I will probably fail." These two melodies clash, and the result is confusion in his affairs. Another may declare peace with her lips, yet carry anxiety in her thoughts. The outer world then reflects the double vibration, sometimes smooth, sometimes jarring, because the inner score is not unified. Harmony requires consistency, the steady repetition of the true melody without interruption. Just as a song becomes familiar when played often, so truth becomes the dominant refrain when repeated in thought, word, and belief. Every discord points the way to correction. Illness is the body's signal that the score has been written with notes of fear, fatigue, or self-criticism. Lack is the signal that the composition carries themes of limitation or unworthiness. Broken relationships are signals that the melody has been infused with resentment or harshness. None of these are final. They are only reminders that the inner music must be rewritten. The moment one changes the key, the outer begins to follow. To declare, "I am whole," is to dissolve the discord of illness. To affirm, "I live in abundance," is to correct the discord of lack. To speak, "I am love," is to smooth the discord of strained relationships. The great error is believing that discord has power of its own. Discord is nothing more than the absence of harmony, just as darkness is nothing more than the absence of light. When the light is switched on, darkness cannot resist. When the true note is struck, discord cannot remain. To give power to struggle, to fight against it, is only to play the false note more loudly. The wise do not resist discord, they replace it. They turn from the mistaken refrain and strike the chord of truth until it fills the atmosphere. Soon the discord fades, not because it was defeated, but because it was dissolved by the greater harmony. Consider the man who constantly speaks of misfortune. He believes the world is against him, and so his life becomes filled with small delays, lost opportunities, and disappointments. This is not because fate has singled him out, but because he has written his life in a minor key, and everything echoes that vibration. Another man, faced with the same circumstances, declares, "Everything works together for my good." His words create a bright, uplifting refrain, and soon even obstacles turn into stepping stones, delays into redirections, and losses into openings. The difference lies not in the outer world, but in the inner composition. Just as an orchestra tunes before it plays, so the individual must tune consciousness each day. The wrong notes of yesterday must not be carried into today. By beginning with words of truth, by filling thought with harmony, by holding beliefs of order, the whole day becomes a melody of peace. If discord arises, it is simply an opportunity to tune again, to correct the note, to realign the score. Life is not a single performance but a continual composition, and at any moment the music may be lifted into higher harmony. The power to correct discord lies in the spoken word. Thought may wander, belief may waver, but the word spoken with authority strikes a tone that cuts through confusion. To say aloud, "I am in perfect harmony," is to set the vibration clearly, and the body, the mind, and the outer world begin to arrange themselves in agreement. Words are tuning forks, they send out waves that align the entire atmosphere. When spoken consistently, they overwrite the mistaken composition and establish a new symphony. No discord is permanent. No mistaken refrain is too strong to be corrected. The law of harmony is greater than the error of discord, and truth always waits to be declared. The moment a man refuses to rehearse the old tune of fear, worry, or limitation, and instead strikes the chord of faith, peace, and abundance, the music of life changes. What was once confusion becomes clarity. What was once struggle becomes ease. What was once sorrow becomes joy. Discord is only the reminder that a higher song is ready to be played. The spoken word is not sound alone, it is vibration clothed in authority, carrying the power to command conditions and rearrange the very fabric of experience. Words are not empty, they are living currents sent into the unseen, and once released they gather matter, circumstance, and event to themselves. A casual phrase may seem harmless, yet it sets a note in motion that must echo. A declaration made with faith is a decree, and the universe, exact in its response, shapes itself to agree with it. This is why the tongue is described as sharper than a sword, for it cuts paths unseen, it pierces the silence, and it writes the script of life. The body responds instantly to the spoken word. A man who says, "I am weary," invites his whole system to echo that refrain, and muscles slacken, nerves lose strength, and vitality diminishes. Another who speaks, "I am strong, I am renewed," stirs life into every fiber, and the very cells take on the rhythm of that declaration. Speech is the bridge between thought and manifestation. A thought may hover like a cloud, but when spoken, it condenses into rain, falling into form. The word carries the blueprint outward, giving invisible ideas weight and sound that the world cannot ignore. Circumstances are obedient servants of speech. They have no will of their own. They are clay that shapes itself according to the vibration that reaches them. A person who continually says, "Nothing ever works out for me," unknowingly sets the mold into which his affairs must fit. Delays, obstacles, and disappointments gather, not as punishments, but as echoes of his decree. Another who affirms, "Everything flows to me in perfect order," finds doors opening, paths clearing, and opportunities arriving, for the conditions of life cannot resist the clear tone of a spoken command. The difference is not chance, it is law responding to vibration. The spoken word does not act alone, but carries within it the belief of the speaker. An idle phrase said without conviction has little force, but when the word is joined with faith, it becomes irresistible. The man who speaks, "I am prosperous," while doubting in his heart produces a mixed vibration, and the world reflects his uncertainty. But the one who speaks it as truth, with conviction burning behind it, sends forth a pure tone, and the outer world arranges itself to prove him right. This is why it is vital to align inner belief with outer word, so that the vibration is consistent, the note unwavering, the decree certain. Words are seeds cast into the soil of the invisible. A seed does not sprout instantly, but given time, it unfolds into form. A careless speaker, impatient with delay, may declare truth one moment and cancel it with contradiction the next. He affirms abundance in the morning, complains of lack in the afternoon, and wonders why his life is a mixture of both. The wise understand that each word is a seed, and they tend it with consistency, watering it with faith until it bears fruit. They do not dig up the soil to see if it is growing. They trust the process and continue to plant words of truth. There is no neutral speech. Every phrase carries weight, every utterance sets vibration. To say, "I am afraid," is to give fear authority. To say, "I am safe," is to clothe protection with sound. To say, I am always unlucky, is to decree misfortune. To say, I walk in divine order, is to summon perfect timing. Words spoken in jest, in anger, or in despair are still words, and they take root unless uprooted by conscious reversal. This is why the discipline of the tongue is one of the greatest arts, to refuse to give voice to fear, to silence complaint, to replace negative refrain with words of power, is to master the very conditions of life. Even nature answers to the spoken word. A garden flourishes when blessed, water calms when commanded, storms shift when spoken to. These are not miracles but demonstrations of law, for all matter is vibration, and vibration answers to tone. A phrase spoken in authority can calm a room of conflict, just as surely as it can stir life into a weary heart. Words spoken in love to another are not lost, they linger in the atmosphere, healing, uplifting, and strengthening long after they are heard. The unseen forces that govern life are sensitive to sound. Angels, opportunities, invisible helpers are drawn to the melody of faith-filled words. Complaints and curses repel assistance, while blessings and affirmations invite it. The word is like a key that unlocks doors in the unseen. It summons allies, attracts solutions, and aligns events with the decree. When one says, I am guided, invisible pathways open. When one declares, I am supplied, resources appear in unexpected forms. The command is not to beg but to speak with certainty, for the universe does not argue with conviction, it obeys. Children raised on words of encouragement grow into lives of confidence, carrying the echo of affirmation in their hearts. Those who are surrounded by harsh or fearful speech grow into the melody of those words, until they learn to speak differently for themselves. This is proof that the spoken word plants seeds in every listener as well as in the speaker. It is power multiplied, shaping not only the one who utters it, but all who receive its vibration. One person declaring truth can lift the atmosphere of a whole household, just as one constant complainer can bring gloom into any gathering. The authority of the spoken word is magnified by repetition. A single declaration may set vibration, but repeated daily, it becomes a drumbeat that nothing can resist. Just as a river cuts through stone by steady flow, so repeated affirmations carve new channels in consciousness until the outer world is compelled to follow. Consistency is the strength of speech. It trains the mind, it engraves the belief, it sends the same tone again and again until harmony is established. The speaker who persists in affirming truth cannot fail to see it manifest, for the law does not tire, it simply reflects what is given it. There is also rhythm in the spoken word. The tone of voice, the speed of delivery, the emotion behind it, all are part of the vibration. A harsh word jars more deeply than a calm one, just as a gentle blessing carries further than a hurried remark. The wise do not only choose their words but deliver them with poise, with authority, with the rhythm of certainty. In doing so, they become conductors of harmony, setting the atmosphere wherever they go. The word is more than expression, it is command. It does not merely describe life, it shapes it. When one says, "This is too hard," the weight of hardness is laid upon the path. When one says, "I do all things with ease," the way lightens beneath the feet. The difference lies not in the challenge but in the decree. Speech does not reflect reality, it creates it. This is why the one who speaks life, peace, and victory continually finds them multiplying, while the one who speaks defeat and despair finds them growing stronger. Every tradition that has endured holds the spoken word as sacred, whether as prayer, chant, mantra, or decree. This is because the ancients knew that sound carries power, that words are not symbols alone but forces. To speak is to shape energy, to declare is to mold substance, to affirm is to command. The authority of the spoken word is woven into the law of vibration itself, and once understood, it becomes the greatest instrument of harmony a person can wield. Consciousness is the conductor of life, and the unseen orchestra of circumstances waits silently for its direction. Every event, every encounter, every condition in the outer world is like an instrument, poised and ready, responding to the subtle signals given by the inner mind. Some conduct unconsciously, waving their baton with random gestures of fear, worry, or doubt, and the orchestra answers with confusion, discord, and unfinished melodies. Others, awake to the truth, lift the baton with certainty, guiding every section into harmony, commanding each instrument to play its part in perfect order. The law is exact, and the music played in the mind becomes the music heard in experience. When the conductor raises the baton with a clear intention, the players do not hesitate. The violins lift their bows, the horns prepare their breath, the drums stand ready to strike. Consciousness works the same way. A single thought of confidence summons opportunities, aligning them with precision. A declaration of peace quiets conflicts, both within and without. An affirmation of abundance calls forth resources, not from one direction alone but from many, as if the whole orchestra of life has been waiting for its cue. The unseen responds to the signal, because consciousness has spoken, and vibration has set the tempo. Every man and woman is conducting at every moment, whether knowingly or unknowingly. To drift in thought is to give half-formed gestures to the orchestra, and the result is uneven music. To dwell on fear is to emphasize the minor key, and life plays a melody of disappointment and delay. To fix the mind on resentment is to command the brass to blare out harsh tones, and the atmosphere fills with strife. Yet when consciousness aligns with truth, when the baton is lifted in the rhythm of faith, every instrument joins in harmony. The strings sing with beauty, the horns lift with courage, the drums beat with victory, and the entire score resounds with balance. Circumstances are not rulers but servants. They do not choose their own notes. They only echo the pattern given to them. The man who believes he is unlucky is conducting his orchestra to play a tune of loss. The woman who believes she is destined for struggle is waving her baton toward a song of hardship. They wonder why life brings them such melodies, not realizing they themselves are giving the signals. Consciousness does not ask whether the notes chosen are pleasant or painful, it merely directs, and the instruments obey. This is why awareness is the beginning of mastery, for one must know that he is conducting before he can change the song. A conductor does not blame the orchestra when the music falters. He adjusts his gestures, sharpens his focus, and brings the players back into line. In the same way, the individual must not curse circumstances when they seem discordant. Outer conditions are only musicians following the signal given. To shift the music, one must shift consciousness. The moment the inner direction changes, the outer instruments begin to realign. Some follow quickly, like the nimble violins, others take longer, like the deep drums, but all eventually obey. Patience and persistence keep the baton steady until every section plays in the new harmony. Belief sets the tempo of the orchestra. A fast tempo, born of faith and expectation, moves life swiftly toward opportunity. A slow tempo, dragged by doubt and hesitation, delays results, stretching the music into weariness. The conductor who believes in his orchestra lifts his hands boldly, confident that the players will respond. The individual who believes in the law of harmony commands with certainty, knowing that circumstances must arrange themselves to match the decree. Belief is not a vague hope, it is the steady beat that unifies the entire performance, keeping every instrument in rhythm. Thought provides the melody. A mind filled with noble and uplifting ideas composes a song that elevates the spirit and inspires the whole orchestra. A mind filled with anxious imaginings writes a tune of tension, sharp and discordant. The melody guides the direction of the piece, and life cannot help but follow its rise and fall. When one holds thoughts of success, the melody climbs upward. When one holds thoughts of failure, the melody drops into decline. Consciousness as conductor must choose the melody wisely, for the orchestra of circumstances only echoes what has been written. The spoken word provides the dynamics, the volume, and the emphasis. A conductor may lift his baton gently for a soft passage, or strike it down sharply for a burst of sound. In the same way, speech amplifies the melody of thought, giving it power to resound in the outer world. A quiet belief, when spoken aloud with conviction, grows into a commanding force that moves conditions swiftly. Words are the cues that summon the instruments to play louder, clearer, stronger. Without speech, the music remains faint. With speech, it fills the hall of experience. Every section of the orchestra represents an aspect of life. The strings are the emotions, coloring every moment with warmth or coldness. The brass are opportunities, bold and direct, announcing themselves with clarity. The woodwinds are relationships, weaving in harmony or clashing in discord. The percussion is the body, steady or faltering depending on the rhythm set. Consciousness stands at the center, baton in hand, deciding whether these sections blend into a symphony or collapse into chaos. When directed with mastery, each plays its part in balance, creating a composition of joy, peace, and abundance. A conductor does not demand perfection from the start. He rehearses, corrects, adjusts, and guides the players until the music grows clear. Likewise, the individual must guide his consciousness patiently. A lifetime of careless gestures may have trained the orchestra into playing discord, but with steady practice, the music can be corrected. Every day, every hour, is a rehearsal in which the baton of thought, belief, and word can be lifted again toward harmony. With time, the orchestra learns to follow instantly, and life itself begins to flow like a practiced symphony. The atmosphere of a room changes when the inner conductor is aligned with truth. Just as a skilled maestro can lift an orchestra into brilliance, so a person attuned to harmony can lift an entire environment. Others may not know why they feel at ease in such presence, but they are responding to the invisible music being played. Circumstances, too, are drawn into alignment. Appointments fall into place. Strangers offer assistance, obstacles shift aside. It is not chance but conduction. The silent direction of consciousness shaping the unseen orchestra into visible form. Every pause, every silence, also has meaning. In music, the rests are as vital as the notes, giving balance and rhythm to the piece. In consciousness, the quiet moments between words and thoughts are times of alignment, when the unseen instruments prepare to play the next phrase. To rest in trust, to pause in peace, is to allow the orchestra to breathe and gather strength. The conductor who rushes through every silence weakens the performance, but the one who honors the pause creates depth and richness. So too, the individual who learns to rest in faith, without anxious words, gives life the chance to prepare the next movement. The orchestra of circumstances never resists. It waits, it listens, it follows. If confusion reigns, it is only because the conductor's signals are mixed. If discord resounds, it is only because the baton has been lowered in fear or anger. The moment clarity returns, the music obeys. Life is not against anyone, it only plays the score it is given. The baton is always in hand, and the unseen instruments are always ready to follow. Consciousness conducts, and the world echoes. There is a silent, invisible force within you, a divine power that governs your every thought, word, and action. When rightly directed, it commands all things, even money, to obey. For money is not your master, nor is it some distant prize to be won by toil and trouble. It is a faithful servant, ever ready to come at your call when summoned in truth, love, and unwavering faith. You were not born to struggle under lack or limitation. You were born rich, rich in spirit, rich in power, rich in substance. The world would have you believe that supply is outside you, that your good lies in the hands of others, that wealth is a matter of chance or lineage. But the truth is far simpler, far more wondrous. All supply flows through the channel of your consciousness. Your word is your wand. What you speak with conviction, you call into form. What you expect with joyous assurance, you receive. Money responds to the vibration you emit, and that vibration is governed not by fear, but by faith, not by desperation, but by divine knowing. You may say, "But I have debts, I have needs." I have not. And so the law fulfills your declaration. For every word you speak is a decree. When you speak of lack, you magnify lack. When you bemoan scarcity, you increase scarcity. But when you boldly affirm, "Money comes to me in perfect ways," you set in motion unseen forces that will not fail you. The supply is limitless, and the giver is within. Begin, then, to speak to money not as a stranger, not as an enemy, not as a thing to chase, but as a friend, a helper, a divine idea made manifest. See money as energy. spiritual substance taking form in the material world to support your highest good. Bless it, praise it, and command it lovingly, as you would a loyal companion. Save money, you are welcome here. You serve me. You flow to me freely, easily, and constantly. You are part of the divine plan, and the divine plan is now unfolding. Do not concern yourself with the how. That is not your province. Your part is to hold the vision, to speak the word, to know beyond seeing. The universe is never late and never early. It moves with precision and purpose, bringing to you the substance of your beliefs, the fruit of your affirmations. You are the channel through which money flows, and you can clear that channel now. By releasing fear, by dissolving doubt, by standing firm in truth. There is no virtue in poverty, no sanctity in lack. Your abundance blesses all. As you receive more, you have more to give. As you live prosperously, you become a lighthouse for others to see what is possible. Command money, not through willpower or force, but through divine alignment, with the calm certainty that the infinite supply is already yours. Your word is your wand. Speak abundance, not lack. This truth is eternal and unfailing, and yet so many walk through life unaware of the creative power resting on their own tongue. In every moment, with every utterance, you are shaping your world. Whether in casual conversation, whispered thought, or inner monologue, your words carry vibration, and that vibration is the blueprint from which your reality is drawn. Words are not idle. They are not innocent. They are spiritual seeds planted in the soil of universal law, and each shall bear fruit after its kind. If you speak of poverty, hardship, and misfortune, do not be surprised when these very things appear at your door, for the law knows not jest or pretense. It hears the vibration and it responds. Say, I am always broke, and the universe echoes back, as you decree, so shall it be. Speak, I can't afford it, and the supply channel narrows, responding obediently to your own instruction. You must become vigilant, then, about the words you speak, especially when it concerns money. If you wish to command money to obey you, you must first speak as one who knows their authority. Not as a beggar pleading for scraps, but as a spiritual being endowed with creative dominion. The language of lack, fear, and doubt must be banished from your vocabulary. In its place, let words of increase, gratitude, and expectancy rise. The spiritual law operates through your declarations. Words spoken with faith, feeling, and belief become law in your experience. To say, money flows to me easily and constantly, is not wishful thinking. It is a decree, a command, a statement of truth that causes unseen forces to align and respond. Every time you speak words of abundance, you carve out the mental and spiritual pathways through which abundance must arrive. And yet, many sabotage their good through idle or careless speech. They may affirm prosperity in the morning, but by afternoon they grumble about rising prices or complain about bills. These contradictions neutralize the original command. The universe is exact and responds only to sustained vibration. You cannot say, I am rich, and then gossip about financial hardship, for such divided attention leads only to confusion and demonstration. You must be unwavering, steady, and deliberate with your words. Words charged with emotion have even greater power. A calm, casual affirmation will produce results over time, but a word spoken with joy, certainty, and enthusiasm moves mountains. When you say, I love money and money loves me, and feel it through every fiber of your being, you set in motion a current of magnetic energy that draws wealth to you in unseen ways. Emotion is the fuel that amplifies the signal of your word. So speak abundance not only with your mouth, but with your heart, your soul, your entire consciousness. You may have been taught to speak modestly of money, to avoid boasting, or to hide your desires under a cloak of humility. But true humility is knowing that you are one with the source of all, and that the supply of the universe is your rightful inheritance. There is no arrogance in claiming your good, just as there is no virtue in denying it. When you speak of money flowing, of debts dissolved, of wealth increasing, you honor the divine law by affirming what is already true in spirit. The spoken word also has the power to reverse conditions. Even if you are facing debt, lack, or financial hardship, your situation can be transformed through right speaking. Say, "This appearance of lack is a lie. I see through it, and I call forth my abundance now." Declare, "Every bill is paid, every need is met, and divine supply is flowing to me now." These are not empty phrases. They are keys to unlock the doors of limitation. When you speak abundance consistently, you build a new mental atmosphere, a spiritual bank account that begins to yield compound interest in visible form. The more you speak it, the more real it becomes, until eventually the outer reflects the inner completely. The mistake people often make is that they wait for evidence before they speak the truth. But spiritual law requires that you speak the truth before you see it. You do not say, "It is day when the sun rises." The sun rises because the law of time decrees it. Likewise, your word must precede the manifestation. Guard also against the words of others. Do not allow their statements of lack, fear, or defeat to take root in your consciousness. Refuse to participate in conversations that dishonor abundance. If someone says, "Money doesn't grow on trees," silently declare to yourself, "Money is everywhere and flows to me freely." If they say, "Times are hard," respond within, "My good knows no season. Divine substance is my constant source." Your inner word cancels out their outer one, for you are the sole architect of your reality. When you understand this power, you no longer speak to describe your circumstances. You speak to create them. You stop repeating facts and start declaring truth. The fact may be that your bank account is low, but the truth is that infinite substance surrounds you. The fact may be that you're behind on payments, but the truth is that divine order governs your finances. Speak truth, not fact, and the facts will rearrange to match the truth. Even when the evidence is to the contrary, hold fast to your words. Say, "I am wealthy," not because you see the wealth yet, but because it is yours in the invisible and is now moving into form. Say, "Money comes to me now," not because you hear the knock at the door, but because you know the law has been activated. Say, "Every dollar I spend returns to me multiplied," and release money joyfully, knowing that you are setting a divine boomerang into motion. Affirmations are not mere repetition, they are alignment. When you speak, do so with intention, presence, and reverence. Let each word be a conscious imprint upon the ethers. Let each phrase ring with the vibration of certainty. The universe is always listening, and it does not give you what you want. It gives you what you say consistently and with conviction. Train yourself, then, to become fluent in the language of wealth. Let every sentence you speak about money carry the tone of mastery. Eliminate phrases like, "I can't afford," "I never have enough," or "I'm just getting by." Replace them with, "Money is always available to me. I receive unexpected income frequently. I live in divine overflow." Make this your new normal speech, until it becomes second nature. The word, when aligned with belief, becomes flesh, and as you speak abundance, you summon it. Money is a servant, not a master. Command it with faith. This single understanding can dissolve lifetimes of struggle, fear, and limitation. Yet how often have people bowed before money as though it were a god to be feared, an idol to be appeased, or a tyrant to be chased? The world has inverted the truth. It has conditioned minds to believe that money holds power, that it grants or denies freedom, that it decides your worth, your choices, your peace. But money is not the master, you are. You are the spiritual authority. And money is but a tool, a channel, a helper, a neutral servant responding to the consciousness behind it. When you see money rightly, you remove the veil of illusion. You no longer tremble at the sight of a bill or panic when the bank account dips. You know the real source is not paper, nor numbers, nor transactions. It is the infinite substance behind all form. Money is one form of that substance, but not the source itself. It is a shadow of your own vibration. And because it is a shadow, it cannot act on its own. It takes shape according to the image held in your mind, the feeling held in your heart, and the command given through your word. A servant obeys the master's voice. Money, too, obeys your voice. If you speak in fear, it withdraws. If you speak in confidence, it draws near. If you chase it, it flees. But if you call it forth in peace and assurance, it answers. You are not meant to toil in anxiety over money. You are meant to direct it calmly and authoritatively, just as a conductor directs an orchestra or a king gives command to his court. Faith is the tone of your voice. When you speak to money with the faith that it must respond, it has no choice but to comply. Many try to manipulate money through fear-based actions, overworking, hoarding, bargaining, compromising their joy in pursuit of gain. But these efforts are hollow when the inner command is weak. If your inner belief says, "There's never enough," no outer labor can overturn that decree. If your emotional tone says, "I fear loss," money will reflect that fear in its behavior. It may arrive in moments, but it will not stay. It is not your effort that brings lasting wealth, but your authority. Spiritual authority exercised through faith-filled command. To command money is not to demand it in arrogance, but to recognize your rightful place in the divine order. You are the child of the infinite, heir to all substance, and lack is not your inheritance. Money is a tool of expression, a medium through which divine ideas take shape in the physical realm. If your idea is to bless others, to create beauty, to build, to give, to enjoy, money becomes the servant that enables these things. But it must know its place. It must not be placed on a pedestal, nor feared, nor idolized. It is not your savior. It is not your identity. It is a form that comes and goes, and it takes its cue from your own conviction. Faith is the language that money understands. When you say, "I am always provided for," and believe it, money aligns with that truth. When you say, "Money flows to me in divine order," and rest in that knowing, the channels begin to open. But if you say it while doubting it, or speak it while watching the clock and worry, then the signal is weakened. To command money, you must first command your inner state. Bring it into harmony with truth, into peace with the law, into agreement with your divine source. Only then does the outer servant follow the inner king. If you feel nervous around money, examine the belief beneath that feeling. Do you see it as scarce, as powerful, as something outside of your control? Replace that belief with truth. Say, "Money is not my master. I am the master. It serves me." Repeat it until it becomes rooted. Let your feelings begin to shift. Imagine yourself standing above your finances, not beneath them. Picture money as a faithful worker, showing up when called, fulfilling its purpose, then stepping aside. Feel the ease in that. Feel the restoration of rightful order. When you walk into a store, or look at your bank account, or pay a bill, remind yourself, "I am not a victim of money. I am the one who commands it." Act from that posture. Speak from that vibration. Let your actions reflect quiet confidence, not anxious struggle. If a need arises, do not panic, speak to it. This need is already met. Money comes quickly, easily, and in perfect timing. Then go about your day as though it were so. That is faith. That is command. That is spiritual authority. Some believe they must be perfect before money will obey. They think they must have no doubts, no fears, no flaws. But money does not require perfection. It responds to direction. Even in moments of weakness, you can realign, re-speak, re-command. Every new word you speak is a new instruction. If you've given confusing orders in the past, orders of lack, fear, or resistance, you can now cancel them with a new decree. Say, "I revoke all previous commands of limitation. I now speak only abundance. I now claim my supply." And so it is. There are those who appear wealthy outwardly, yet are servants inwardly, ruled by fear of loss. Chained to status, unable to rest. They have money, but they do not command it. It commands them. They cannot walk away. They cannot give freely. They cannot trust. That is not freedom. That is slavery disguised as success. Real mastery is inward. Real wealth is peace. When you can say, with calm assurance, "Money does not rule me. It obeys me." And then live from that center, you have found the true treasure. Use your imagination to practice this truth. See yourself giving orders to money with joy and ease. Picture it flowing toward you in response, as a wave answering the moon's call. Visualize yourself saying, "Money, go forth and bless," and it moves into your hands, your work, your giving. See it return to you multiplied, because you have sent it with love and purpose. Train your mind to see money as a living energy, not something static, but dynamic and responsive to your inner world. You may have been taught otherwise. You may have heard that money is hard to get, or that it corrupts, or that only certain people deserve it. But these are beliefs, not truths, and beliefs can be changed. Write a new belief. Money is a divine idea that serves my highest good. Say it daily. Say it when doubt arises. Say it until the echo of old programming fades. You do not need to fight your old beliefs. You only need to override them with a stronger signal. And that signal is your word, spoken in faith. Speak to money with the same love and confidence you would give a trusted companion. I know you. I trust you. You know your place in my life, and you fulfill it with grace. Let this become your natural dialogue. Do not speak to it in panic, frustration, or resentment. That is not command. That is reaction. And reaction feeds the illusion of money's power. Instead, respond with poise. Money, I see you. I bless you. You are here to serve, and I give you good work to do. When money is treated as a servant, it fulfills its role with elegance and speed. When it is feared, it becomes elusive and heavy. You choose its role by the way you relate to it. Supply flows through consciousness, not circumstance. This principle, when fully grasped, reshapes your entire relationship with money, provision, and material needs. It shifts the seat of power from the outer world to the inner, from events and people to the divine current flowing within you. Most people live under the illusion that supply comes from jobs, clients, governments, inheritances, or some stroke of good fortune. They believe their income is determined by economy, their opportunities by luck, and their stability by external factors beyond their control. But this is a deception, a distortion of spiritual truth. True supply is not dictated by circumstances. It flows through your consciousness. It mirrors your inner atmosphere. It takes the shape of your dominant beliefs, expectations, and spoken words. You are not at the mercy of the world. You are not a product of chance. You are the very gateway through which divine substance expresses itself. Circumstances may appear real, but they are effects, not causes. They are mirrors of your inner state, and as that state changes, so too must the outer world reflect the new pattern. Supply does not come from the outside. It comes through you, shaped by your faith, your focus, your alignment with the laws of abundance. You may look at a dwindling bank balance and think it signifies lack, or point to unpaid bills and declare a shortage. But these are merely reflections of a belief system you have the power to change. The outer cannot shift until the inner command is altered. If you believe supply is limited, you constrict the flow. If you speak often of not enough, you energize the pattern of insufficiency. But if you begin to speak abundance, feel abundance, and expect abundance, even before any outer evidence arrives, you align with the infinite source that has never stopped flowing. There is no shortage in divine supply, no recession in the spirit, no inflation in the infinite. These conditions exist only on the surface level, in the realm of human belief and perception. But the deep, silent stream of substance that flows from source to expression is forever full, forever ready to fill the vessels you offer. Your mind is the vessel. Your word is the spout. Your faith is the seal that determines whether the supply flows freely or gets blocked by doubt, fear, and disbelief. The supply is always present. It never leaves, never fades, never runs dry. What changes is your access to it. You do not need to force it into being, nor do you need to chase it. You simply need to align with it. By lifting your consciousness above appearances and affirming what is true in the invisible. Say to yourself, "My supply is not out there, it is within me now." Speak it even as the outer world suggests otherwise. Feel it even in moments where logic rebels. Trust that the moment you shift your belief, the channels begin to open. The mistake many make is confusing the channel with the source. A job is not your source. It is one possible channel. A client is not your source. They are a vessel through which substance may flow. If one channel closes, it does not mean your supply is gone. It simply means that consciousness is guiding it elsewhere. You are never dependent on a particular form, only on your own alignment. The moment you release fear of losing a channel, you free up energy for a greater one to appear. But as long as you cling in desperation to one avenue, you block the greater flow trying to reach you. You are always creating your experience of supply by what you dwell on, what you affirm, what you feel to be true. If you wake each morning worrying about bills, speaking of limitation, rehearsing images of lack, then you are sowing seeds of scarcity into the soil of universal law. And the law must return to you what you have planted. But you can reverse this process at any time. Begin to dwell on images of abundance. Begin to speak increase. Begin to feel yourself supported by invisible substance. Picture your needs met before they arrive. Imagine supply flowing toward you from all directions, and trust that it must take form. Circumstances are reactive. They are never original causes. They are shaped and reshaped by consciousness. Even now, you may look around and think, but these are the facts. This is what is. Yet what is seen is temporary. What is unseen is eternal. If you allow circumstances to dictate your feelings, then your feelings continue to recreate the same conditions. But when you rise above circumstance and speak from spiritual vision, you begin to create a new pattern. One that must, in time, show itself in form. The law is impartial. It does not care if you are rich or poor, experienced or inexperienced, favored or forgotten. It only responds to the atmosphere of your consciousness. If you carry an inner climate of gratitude, trust, and expectancy, the law matches that with provision. If you carry anxiety, doubt, and resistance, the law reflects that too. You cannot deceive the law with words alone. It listens to the vibration beneath the words. That is why feeling is so powerful. Feeling reveals the true belief, the real expectation. You must take responsibility for the content of your consciousness. No one else can do this for you. No one else can speak your affirmations, hold your vision, or release your fears. It is an inner work, silent, constant, and sacred. As you purify your thoughts of lack, cleanse your words of complaint, and replace old ideas with spiritual truth, you begin to experience a shift. The outer world, though slow to reflect it at first, begins to adjust. Doors open, money appears, opportunities align. Not because the outer world changed on its own, but because your consciousness allowed it. You do not need to force or manipulate circumstances. You need only stay faithful to the truth. Supply flows through consciousness. If you build the inner structure, the outer must follow. Keep the inner atmosphere clear, generous, and receptive. Bless what you have no matter how small. Speak increase over every dollar, every opportunity, every transaction. Thank the substance before it arrives, and act as one who knows, not hopes, not wishes, but knows that all needs are met through the power within. It is easy to look at those who seem to have more and assume they are lucky or privileged. But their outer wealth is a result of inner conviction. You cannot see their private thoughts, their inner decisions, their alignment with law. Focus not on what others appear to have. Focus on the power you carry right now, the power to reshape your consciousness, and thus reshape your world. You are the point of access through which divine supply expresses itself. You are not separate from abundance. You are one with it. Let every thought, every word, every image you hold become a declaration of this truth. Let the language of your heart say, I am the vessel of divine supply. I am open to receive. I am free from fear. I am provided for, in ways seen and unseen. Make this your continual inner conversation, and let the outer world adjust accordingly. Bless and welcome money as divine substance. To truly align with the flow of abundance, you must first correct your perception of money. So many treat money as a necessary evil, as something material and separate from the spiritual life, as a force tainted by greed, corruption, or competition. But this is a distortion, a mistaken belief born from fear, religious misinterpretation, and societal conditioning. In truth, money is a form of divine energy, a neutral, obedient, spiritual substance taking shape in the physical world to fulfill divine purpose. To reject money is to reject one of the ways the infinite expresses through form. To fear money is to block one of the primary avenues through which good can come to you and others. Every dollar, every coin, every transaction carries with it an energetic imprint, and that imprint is shaped by your consciousness. If you see money as dirty, hard to get, or dangerous, you push it away energetically. You may chase it externally, but internally, you are closing the door. But when you bless money, bless it when it enters your life, when it leaves your hands, when you think of it, you shift the entire dynamic. Blessing is a form of alignment. It is an act of love, recognition, and welcome. It acknowledges money as a servant of good, a carrier of intention, a vessel of supply. Many have been taught that spiritual people must avoid wealth, that money is corrupting, or that to seek abundance is to stray from the path. This belief has caused untold suffering and lack, not because there is virtue in poverty, but because there is confusion about the role of money. Money, like all things, reflects the consciousness of the one who holds it. In the hands of love, money builds, heals, uplifts, and frees. In the hands of fear, it enslaves and destroys. But the substance itself is neither good nor bad. It is simply a channel for the energy that guides it. When you bless money, you charge it with divine intent. To bless money is to recognize its spiritual origin. It is to say, this substance flows from the infinite reservoir. It is not separate from God, it is a manifestation of God in form. I receive it with joy and use it in service of good. Speak these words often. Infuse them with feeling. When you receive money, in a paycheck, a gift, a sale, or even loose change, take a moment to silently bless it. Say, "You are divine substance. You come to me freely and I send you forth in love." This act transforms a mundane transaction into a sacred exchange. It trains your mind to associate money with trust, gratitude, and ease rather than fear, guilt, or scarcity. When you spend money, bless it as it leaves. Too often people contract when they pay a bill, buy something, or part with funds. They feel a pang of loss, a tightening of fear, a sense that something is being taken from them. But this reaction imprints lack onto the money and reinforces the belief in scarcity. Instead, practice saying, "I bless this payment. It goes forth to bless others and returns to me multiplied. I release it joyfully, knowing I live in divine circulation." This small shift opens the channel wider, allowing money to flow back to you with greater ease. Welcome money as you would a dear guest. Make it feel at home in your consciousness. Do not treat it with suspicion, resentment, or resistance. Do not make it the enemy or something you are embarrassed to desire. Money is not separate from your spiritual path. It is a part of your spiritual development. To master the energy of money is to master an aspect of your own consciousness. It is to rise above fear and learn to direct energy in service of your highest good. You do not worship money, but neither do you reject it. You place it in its right order, a tool to be used wisely, a servant that answers your faith-filled commands. Every time you think of money, speak about it, or engage with it, you are broadcasting a signal. That signal either attracts or repels according to its tone. If your signal is, "Money is hard," "Money never stays," or "I'm not good with money," then money reflects those declarations. But if your signal is, "Money flows," "I am worthy of wealth," "I use money to express love," then you create a field that money responds to joyfully. Blessing money is one of the quickest ways to change your signal. It bypasses fear and plugs you into gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most magnetic states you can hold. Begin to see all money, not just the large sums, but the small coins and unnoticed amounts, as divine. Bless every cent that comes into your life, no matter how humble. See the spiritual presence behind it. Know that it carries energy, intention, and purpose. When you bless small money, you prove yourself ready for larger sums. You demonstrate reverence for the flow. You align yourself with divine order, which knows no difference between large and small. Only circulation, expansion, and use. Clean up your language around money. Do not speak of it as a burden, a struggle, or a necessary evil. Speak of it as a blessing, a joy, a support. Eliminate phrases like, "I hate dealing with money," "I never have enough," or "I'm always broke." These words curse the very substance you are trying to attract. Replace them with, "I love handling money. I always have more than enough. Money is a joy to use and receive." Let your spoken word become a channel of blessing. Let it align with the truth of divine substance. When you treat money as sacred, it begins to respond in sacred ways. It stays longer. It returns more often. It flows through unexpected channels. It shows up in ways that feel effortless, not because the outer world suddenly changed, but because your inner atmosphere became one of openness and blessing. You did not beg or chase. You welcomed. You did not resist or fear. You honored. You became a place where divine substance feels at home. Think also of how your money can bless others. As you circulate money, imagine it carrying peace, opportunity, and light into the lives it touches. Picture it blessing the grocer, the service provider, the person on the other end of the transaction. Know that your money, blessed with love, becomes a vehicle for good far beyond what you can see. As you spend, give, or invest, say silently, "This money blesses everyone it touches and returns to me multiplied." You are not just spending. You are sending love into motion. The more you bless money, the less it controls you. The more you bless money, the more you see it rightly. And the more you see it rightly, the more you draw it into your experience with ease and dignity. There is no need to justify your desire for abundance. It is natural to want to be supported, to be comfortable, to have freedom to give, to create, to enjoy life without anxiety. These are not materialistic desires. They are signs that your soul seeks full expression. And money, as divine substance, is one of the means by which that expression becomes possible. You bless money not to manipulate it, but to remember what it truly is. You welcome money not because you worship it, but because you recognize it as a gift of divine intelligence. Just as sunlight warms the earth without judgment, divine substance flows into the hands of those who are open, ready, and aligned. When you bless money, you open the gate. When you welcome it, you keep the gate wide. When you treat it with joy and reverence, it multiplies to match the spirit in which it is held. Do not chase money. Align with it spiritually. This truth overturns the widespread belief that effort, hustle, or pursuit are the keys to financial abundance. Most people are conditioned to believe they must strive, stress, and chase endlessly to acquire money. They run after it with anxiety. They work from dawn till dusk in a state of tension, and they live with the belief that money is somewhere out ahead of them. Elusive, withholding, and always just beyond reach. But this is not how divine substance operates. Spiritual law does not reward struggle, it responds to alignment. The more you chase money from a place of need or desperation, the more it evades you. The more you relax into truth, attune your consciousness, and allow the vibration of abundance to radiate through you, the more money begins to come. Sometimes quietly, sometimes swiftly, but always in response to your inner state. Money is not something you run after. It is something you magnetize. And magnetism begins not with effort, but with energy. Your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, and the spiritual tone you carry as you move through the world. When you try to force results through worry or control, you block the flow that would otherwise bring them to you. You are not meant to beg, struggle, or plead for what already belongs to you in the invisible. You are meant to prepare a place for it in consciousness, and then live as though it were already done. This preparation is not passive. It is not sitting and doing nothing. It is an active, spiritual alignment. It is the daily work of cleansing your thoughts of lack, your speech of complaint, your heart of fear. It is replacing worry with gratitude, comparison with faith, impatience with trust. These shifts are internal, but they are the most powerful moves you can make. Chasing money often leads to burnout, compromise, and resentment. Aligning with money leads to peace, inspiration, and overflow. One path is rooted in fear, the other in knowing. The act of chasing money implies that it is not here, that it is elsewhere, and that you must catch up to it. But money is not distant. It is a vibration that responds to your present moment consciousness. The supply you seek already exists. It is present in the field of divine substance, waiting for you to match its frequency. That frequency is not fear, not stress, not control. It is faith, joy, and alignment. It is the quiet inner knowing that your needs are already met, that the source is within you, and that life supports you fully when you stand in truth. Alignment is the process of becoming the kind of person that money naturally flows to, not because you manipulate it, but because your consciousness is open, clear, and receptive. You become a magnet for abundance by being peaceful about money, by thinking well of it, by blessing it in all forms, and by refusing to speak or think in ways that contradict your desire for prosperity. It is not about being perfect. It is about being consistent in spirit. You cannot expect financial peace while speaking financial fear. You cannot expect overflow while living in resistance to receiving. Alignment with money means you treat it as already present. You make space for it. You carry yourself as someone who knows they are supported. This does not mean reckless spending or pretending something you don't believe. It means embodying the attitude of one who trusts. You do not panic when a bill arrives. You do not shrink when a challenge presents itself. You stand firm in the truth that divine substance is never limited, and that the outer world must rearrange itself according to your inner certainty. People often ask, "What should I do to get more money?" But the better question is, what should I be to allow more money? What qualities do you need to embody? What thoughts do you need to release? What spiritual truths do you need to trust more fully? When you become aligned, the doing follows naturally. Inspired ideas come. Right actions arise without strain. Resources and opportunities present themselves not because you chased them, but because your inner state allowed them in. When you chase money from a place of lack, you send out a signal of scarcity. The universe responds in kind, matching your vibration. But when you declare, "I am abundance, I am already supported, money flows to me in divine ways," you shift the signal, and what is sent out returns multiplied. You begin to act from fullness, not emptiness. You begin to give, create, and serve from overflow, not from grasping. Money responds not to pressure, but to presence. Your present alignment with the vibration of wealth, ease, and sufficiency. Many people confuse being busy with being aligned. They fill their days with motion, their minds with plans, their calendars with effort, but their hearts remain anxious. Business without spiritual alignment is like rowing a boat against the current. You may move, but you move with great strain. Alignment is like turning the boat with the current, trusting that the stream of life will carry you. You still act, but your action is infused with peace, power, and divine timing. To stop chasing money is not to give up on having it. It is to change the source of your power. It is to stop placing your faith in hustle and place your faith in the law of circulation, the law of cause and effect, the law of vibration. These laws are spiritual principles that govern all supply, and when you align with them, you are no longer subject to the ups and downs of the outer world. You become inwardly anchored, and money begins to respond to that steady vibration. Your relationship with money becomes one of mutual respect. You do not worship it, nor do you fear it. You speak well of it. You expect it to come. You trust it to flow. You hold your desires without obsession, and you release your actions without anxiety. This creates space for miracles. It opens the door to unseen channels. You begin to attract opportunities not because you chased them, but because your field became magnetic to them. People want to give, doors open easily, and the right timing reveals itself because your energy is in alignment with truth. Start each day with an inner tuning. Before you plan, before you work, before you move, align yourself with the vibration of wealth. Say, "I live in divine abundance. I am one with infinite supply. All that I need flows to me with ease and grace." Let this be your starting point. From here, you take action not from fear, but from inspiration. You are no longer trying to get money. You are allowing it. You are no longer running after wealth. You are becoming wealth in consciousness. Let your thoughts, your words, your energy reflect the reality you are calling in. When you meet money in your mind as a friend, a servant, a joyful partner, it responds. But when you run after it with worry, frustration, or desperation, it withdraws. The law is precise. It gives you what you are in vibration with, not what you pled for. To align is to be steady, expectant, grounded in truth. It is to carry an atmosphere that says, I am already prosperous. Life supports me. Money flows to me because I am aligned with my highest self. Your outer life always matches your inner climate. When you no longer believe that money is outside of you, something to be hunted or begged for, but recognize it as an extension of your spiritual state, you stop chasing and start receiving. You do not compete for it, manipulate for it, or fear losing it. You trust that your alignment is the key, and that when you are in tune with truth, everything that belongs to you by divine right begins to arrive easily and in perfect time.